Have you ever immersed yourself in the intricate world of strategy games? Games like chess, Risk, Pente, or Go demand careful planning, calculated moves, and the ability to anticipate your opponent's every action. But what happens when the complexities of war escalate beyond two fronts? What happens when a nation finds itself embroiled in a conflict on 4, 5, or even more fronts? The dangers of a two-front war are well documented, but the challenges multiply exponentially with each additional front. Imagine a nation forced to defend its borders from multiple adversaries, each with their own objectives and strategies. The strain on military resources would be immense, requiring the deployment of troops and equipment across vast distances. Supply lines would become increasingly vulnerable to disruption, potentially crippling the war effort. Moreover, the need to coordinate defenses and offensives on multiple fronts would test even the most skilled military commanders. In the context of the United States, the idea of facing a multi-front war might seem inconceivable. After all, the U.S. enjoys a unique geographical advantage, bordered by oceans to the east and west and friendly neighbors to the north and south. History is replete with cautionary tales of empires brought low by the immense strain of multi-front wars. The strategic complexities of multi-front warfare are often compounded by the need to divide one's forces and attention, weakening the overall war effort. Section 3, Beyond Traditional Battlefields. Section 1, The Chinese Puzzle Box. Section 2, A New Era of Warfare. The United States, facing this complex and evolving security environment, cannot afford to cling to outdated Cold War paradigms or engage in strategic myopia. While the world focuses on military exercises and trade wars, a silent battle rages between the United States and China, the fentanyl crisis. This synthetic opioid, up to 100 times more potent than morphine, has ravaged American communities, claiming tens of thousands of lives each year. China plays a key role in the production and distribution of this deadly drug. Chinese chemical companies manufacture the precursor chemicals used to synthesize fentanyl. These precursors are shipped to Mexico, where cartels convert them into fentanyl and smuggle it across the U.S. border. The ease of precursor flow from China highlights the challenges of stemming this deadly epidemic. The fentanyl crisis threatens U.S. national security, public health, and community stability. The U.S.-China conflict extends to intellectual property and technological innovation. China aims to lead in AI, robotics, and biotech, often acquiring foreign tech through illicit means. This has targeted U.S. companies, universities, and government agencies, stealing billions in intellectual property. Tactics include cyber espionage, forced technology transfers, and recruiting foreign experts. Chinese hackers have infiltrated U.S. networks, stealing sensitive data. This theft accelerates China's tech development, eroding the U.S.'s competitive edge. It's not just economic, it has significant national security implications. Beneath trade talks and summits, a currency Cold War simmers. China manipulates the yuan to benefit its economy, disadvantaging trading partners. Keeping the yuan low makes Chinese exports cheaper and more competitive. The U.S. accuses China of unfair trade advantage, leading to job losses and a trade deficit. The currency Cold War complicates U.S.-China relations and impacts the global economy. Beyond the tangible fronts of fentanyl, technology, and currency lies a more insidious battleground, the hearts and minds of the American people. China exploits social and political fault lines in the U.S., aiming to sow discord and undermine unity. This strategy weakens the U.S. from within, eroding social cohesion and decisive action. Chinese disinformation campaigns inflame tensions, targeting sensitive topics like race, religion, and politics. The goal is chaos and distrust, weakening American society. The U.S. must counter this with a multi-pronged approach, involving government, social media companies, and civil society. Emphasizing media literacy and critical thinking is crucial to empower citizens. The battle for hearts and minds is fought with ideas, information, and narratives. The US must defend its values, strengthen institutions, and reaffirm its commitment to truth and unity. The implications of these ongoing conflicts between the United States and China are far-reaching and profound. The world watches as these superpowers engage in a high-stakes game of chess, each move reshaping the global order. The interconnected nature of these conflicts makes it difficult to predict their trajectory or consequences. One outcome is a new Cold War, fought with tariffs, sanctions, cyber attacks, and disinformation. This scenario would see the world divided into two competing blocs, each vying for influence. Such a division would stifle global cooperation and increase the risk of conflict. Another possibility is a gradual decoupling of the US and Chinese economies. This decoupling would have significant implications for global supply chains and economic growth. The most dangerous scenario is a direct military conflict, sparked by a miscalculation or escalation. Such a conflict would have catastrophic consequences for the entire world. Section 2. The erosion of trust, a house divided. The conflicts between the United States and China are not confined to the halls of government or the battlefields of cyberspace. They are also playing out within the very fabric of American society. Chinese efforts to sow discord and exploit divisions within the United States have exacerbated existing social and political polarization, eroding trust in institutions and undermining national unity. The spread of misinformation and disinformation, often amplified by social media algorithms, has created an environment where it is increasingly difficult to distinguish fact from fiction. This information pollution has fueled conspiracy theories, deepened partisan divides, and eroded trust in traditional sources of information, such as news media and government agencies. This erosion of trust has had a corrosive effect on American democracy, making it more difficult to have reasoned debate, find common ground, and address pressing national challenges. It has also emboldened extremist groups and ideologies as people retreat into echo chambers and embrace narratives that confirm their existing biases. The United States, facing this internal challenge, must find ways to rebuild trust in its institutions, promote media literacy, and foster civil discourse. This requires a concerted effort from government, civil society, and the private sector, including social media companies, to combat disinformation, promote accurate information, and create spaces for respectful dialogue. Section 3. The global ripple effect, shifting sands of power. The conflicts between the United States and China are not just a bilateral issue, they have profound implications for the entire global order. As these two superpowers engage in their rivalry, other countries are forced to navigate this complex geopolitical landscape, often facing difficult choices about alignment and allegiance. Some countries, particularly those in close proximity to China, may feel pressured to side with Beijing, fearing economic retaliation or military aggression if they challenge Chinese interests. Others, with strong historical ties to the United States, may seek to maintain their alliances with Washington, even as they seek to avoid being dragged into a new Cold War. This competition for influence is playing out in regions around the world, from Southeast Asia to Africa to Latin America. China, through its Belt and Road Initiative and other economic and diplomatic initiatives, is seeking to expand its influence in the developing world, often filling the void left by a retrenching United States. The United States, for its part, must decide how it will respond to China's growing global footprint. Will it seek to contain China's rise, as it did with the Soviet Union during the Cold War? Or will it seek to engage with China, albeit cautiously, in areas of shared interest such as climate change, global health, and non-proliferation? Section 4. A call to action, forging a path forward. The challenges posed by the conflicts between the United States and China are daunting, but they are not insurmountable. The future of the 21st century hinges on the choices that these two superpowers make in the coming years. A path towards conflict and confrontation would be disastrous, not only for the two countries involved but for the entire world. Instead, the United States and China must find a way to coexist peacefully, manage their differences responsibly, and cooperate in areas of shared interest. This will require both sides to abandon zero-sum thinking, embrace diplomacy and dialogue, and recognize that their fates are interconnected. The United States, for its part, must prioritize its own domestic renewal, addressing its internal divisions, strengthening its institutions, and investing in its people. A strong, united, and prosperous United States is essential to maintaining its global leadership and effectively competing with China. The United States must also work to strengthen its alliances and partnerships around the world, building a network of like-minded countries committed to upholding a rules-based international order. This network will be crucial to deterring aggression, promoting free trade, and addressing global challenges, such as climate change and pandemics. The conflicts between the United States and China are a defining feature of the 21st century. The choices that these two superpowers make in the coming years will shape the destiny of the world. Let us hope that they choose wisely. Section 1. The Perils of Multi-Front Conflicts. The 21st century has ushered in an era of unprecedented complexity in international relations. The rise of new global powers, the proliferation of advanced technologies, and the changing nature of warfare have created a security environment fraught with challenges and uncertainties. The United States, despite its military and economic might, finds itself navigating a world where traditional notions of conflict and cooperation no longer fully apply. The conflicts between the United States and China, spanning multiple domains and encompassing a wide range of issues, epitomize this complexity. From the silent but deadly fentanyl crisis, to the high-stakes battle over technological innovation, from the subtle maneuvering of currency wars, to the insidious spread of disinformation, these conflicts defy easy categorization and demand a nuanced understanding of the interconnected challenges facing the world today. History teaches us that multi-front conflicts are rarely won decisively. The Roman Empire, the British Empire, Napoleon's France, all eventually succumbed to the pressures of fighting on multiple fronts. Their resources stretched thin, their attention divided, their enemies emboldened by their vulnerability. The United States, as it contends with China's rise and a host of other global challenges, must heed the lessons of history and avoid the strategic pitfalls that have ensnared even the mightiest of powers. Section 2. The Need for Strategic Foresight. The United States, facing this complex and evolving security environment, cannot afford to cling to outdated Cold War paradigms or engage in strategic myopia. The challenges posed by China's rise, the proliferation of advanced technologies, and the changing nature of warfare demand a comprehensive and forward-looking approach to national security. The United States must prioritize investments in cybersecurity, recognizing that cyber attacks, launched from afar with relative anonymity, can cripple critical infrastructure, disrupt financial markets, and sow chaos within societies. Protecting its own networks, working closely with the private sector to secure critical infrastructure, and developing credible deterrence capabilities to discourage adversaries from launching debilitating cyber attacks are paramount. Beyond shoring up its cyber defenses, the United States must also work to strengthen its alliances and partnerships around the world, recognizing that no nation can address the challenges of the 21st century alone. Alliances, built on shared values and interests, provide a force multiplier, allowing nations to pool resources, share intelligence, and coordinate responses to common threats. Furthermore, the United States must engage in a clear-eyed assessment of its own strengths and weaknesses, recognizing that military might alone is not sufficient to ensure security in the 21st century. Leveraging its economic power, diplomatic influence, and technological prowess to compete effectively in the global arena is essential. Investing in education, research and development, and infrastructure to maintain its competitive edge will be crucial. Section 3. Charting a course towards peace and stability. The challenges posed by the conflicts between the United States and China are daunting. They must find a way to coexist peacefully and manage their differences responsibly. Global challenges like pandemics, food scarcity, and terrorism require cooperation. A strong, united, and prosperous United States is essential to a stable world order. Let us hope they choose dialogue over confrontation and cooperation over conflict.